Good morning, everyone, and it's a privilege to be here in Bolton, in my own region of the northwest of England. I believe that the Bolton branch are a beacon of light to many of the branches up here in the north of England. You're getting councillors elected year on year. You're proving to be the opposition to the Labour Party, and I believe that this is the direction that UKIP will take in the coming years as we enter the second half of this decade. 3.5 weeks ago, I announced at the North West Conference in my hometown of Bootle that I would not be putting my name forward for the leadership of UKIP. And I did so because I felt that the old leadership team, which I was included, had achieved great things, culminating in the referendum victory. I also felt that I needed a short break from politics, having been on the front line now for 8 solid years. I said in my speech that I would not be involving myself in the leadership election, and it was a pledge that I was utterly committed to at that moment in time. I thought I could sit on the sidelines, and I thought I could watch the potential leadership candidates battle it out from afar. However, I have sat there for the past few weeks, watching with growing incredulity and with an even bigger sense of trepidation, because I no longer see positive stories about our party. All I read or hear are stories about infighting, insults, threats and potential expulsions. It is as though once the party had won its battle with the European Union, it looked around for something else to fight, and it chose itself. It has been a galling spectacle, which, if it had to happen at all, and I don't believe it did, then it should at least have been kept in-house. Therefore, I reached a conclusion 2 days ago, as the deputy leader of this party, that I at least had to say something, for I am now beginning to fear about the future existence of a party I have given so many years of my life to. I don't need to go into the specific issues here today. They are there for all of us to see, and they have been around for a while. Indeed, I think it's common knowledge that UKIP has not been a happy camp for the past year, and the problems which have now burst into the public domain have been bubbling under the surface for some time. The new leader will have a clean slate and will have a mandate to deal with these issues head on. And I don't mean in some testosterone-fueled machismo fashion. No, I mean by skillful negotiation and, most of all, compromise. As Winston Churchill once said, Jojo is always preferable to war. And boy, does UKIP need some Jojo right now. Yeah. The next leader must seek immediately to put back together a party which is increasingly fractured. Indeed, just as Churchill led a ministry of all talents during the Second World War, the next leader of UKIP must seek and commit to leading a party of all talents. That means seeking to put the past differences behind us and finding those issues that bring us together and those that don't divide us. It means bringing people into the tent rather than removing them or casting them aside. It means not leading what Westminster bubble journalists call a Faragista UKIP or a Carswellite UKIP. It means leading UKIP, pure and simple. And this must mean a UKIP for everyone. Now, I want to say this about all of the leadership candidates. They are all good, honourable people who have the interests of our party at heart. And I suspect at some time in the coming weeks, some of the campaigns may well merge. I want to say this. Although I stand down at conference as the deputy leader of this party, I will be on hand to help and offer advice to whoever wins this contest when I am asked, and I will do so in whatever capacity I can. But I am here today at the launch of Jonathan Arnott's campaign because he is my friend and my longest political confidant, which goes back over a decade. When I became the party chairman back in 2008, the party faced similar problems. It was split, and we were looking over the edge of the cliff of political oblivion. We knew this, and we knew it had to be dealt with quickly, and we did so. Therefore, when I became the party chairman, I did so with one caveat, and that caveat was that Jonathan Arnott became my general secretary, a job he went on to do successfully for 6 years. Jonathan is a peacemaker, someone who I have seen firsthand resolve difficult situations, and someone who is prepared to compromise and sail a middle course. He is committed to building a team of all talents, a team where people can get around a table, hold discussions, come to compromises in a collegiate and grown-up manner. Jonathan is also a man with a plan, and a lack of planning has been one of UKIP's biggest downfalls in recent years. We can no longer stumble from one election to another without no real forethought. We need to have a plan, not only now for next year's local elections, but also we need to get planning for 2020. This is where UKIP needs to go, ladies and gentlemen. A party that deals with different opinions in a mature manner. A party that puts aside personality differences and utilises all talents. And finally, a party that plans for the future. I believe, ladies and gentlemen, that Jonathan has the ability and the vision to deliver it. Therefore, ladies and gentlemen, it is now my privilege to introduce our leadership candidate, Jonathan Arnott.
Ladies and gentlemen, on June the 23rd, something changed in British politics, and I'm sure that most of you know what that was. Together, we achieved something that just 2 years ago would have seemed to be an almost impossible task. And so we in UKIP woke up on June the 24th to a new world. The very DNA of our party had changed overnight. Whereas once we were defined by what we were against, that can be the case no longer. We must now be defined by what we are for. I've long said that leaving the European Union isn't enough to make Britain great again. What it will do is give us the tools that we need to make Britain great again. And so there are two fights that I want to lead you in. The first is the obvious one, the fight for the future of our nation. During the referendum campaign, I heard politicians from the Remain side constantly doing us down. They claimed we couldn't survive outside the European Union. They predicted economic meltdown, apocalypse and World War III. And I have to say, I don't like that as a campaign tactic. But then the people of this country spoke. 17.4 million of us. More than have voted for anything at all, at any election or referendum in British political history. We rejected their defeatist, negative approach. Now, there are a handful of politicians on the Remain side who have truly accepted the referendum result, and who will now work to build the best possible Britain. I respect those politicians for that. But then there's the rest. and I see it all the time from Labour in the north of England. The doommongers, the naysayers, those who cheer every time the FTSE falls 50 points and make excuses every time it rises by 100. Yeah. Those who would seek to persuade us that when the European Commission sets out its negotiating position, that we should somehow take their first offer rather than haggle them down. Those who seek to foster economic turmoil because they don't care about the collateral damage and they don't care about the lives that they would ruin just so that they could have the pleasure of saying, I told you so. They, ladies and gentlemen, are no friends of Britain. They don't believe in Britain, but we do. Well, they are not going to be able to say, I told you so, because we are going to make our Brexit dream a reality. I say that we need a UKIP that will take on their sniping from the sidelines. And when the media, in every single interview, ask me this question, what's the point of UKIP now? Here's what I tell them. I tell them that we're the party that won't just take power from Brussels and give it to Westminster, but we're the party that's going to take that power from Westminster and put it right back in the hands of the great British people. I tell them that we are the party that is going to reach out to the 13.6 million people out there who voted for Brexit but didn't vote UKIP at the last general election. I tell them that we're the party that is never, ever, ever anti-immigrant. Never, ever, ever anti-immigration, but anti the uncontrolled mass net immigration that is driving down wages and costing jobs. I tell them that we are the party that will stand up for the working class voters who the Tories despise and who the Labour Party has abandoned. I tell them that we're the party that's really going to get tough on crime and on the perpetrators of crime. And yes, I do believe that we need to work hard at rehabilitation, but frankly, the carrot doesn't work without the stick. I tell them that we're the party of excellence in education, the party that believes in apprenticeships, in training, the party that won't look down on you if you choose to go a vocational route rather than go to university, and we can learn something from the Germans in that respect. I tell them we're the party that will scrap tuition fees at university for science, technology, engineering, maths and medicine, because we believe in the future of our country and we believe in investing in the future of our country. I tell them that we're the party that's going to simplify the tax system in this country, because it's ludicrous that we've got the second most complex tax system in the world. And of course, as you all know, I tell them that we are the party that is going to keep our government honest over Brexit. Yeah. But you know what? We have to go further. We have to start to talk about our positive vision for the future after Brexit. To give our equivalent of Reagan's shining city on a hill. When I hear people talk about emigrating because of the state of our nation, it hurts me. Because I'm patriotic. I'm proud to be British. But it's the right kind of patriotism, the positive kind of patriotism. Loving my country doesn't mean that I hate anyone else's. It simply means that I want us to make Britain the greatest country in the world in which to live. And up here in the north, we have a great manufacturing tradition. We build things, we make things. That should be the engine room of our economy. But sadly right now it's not quite there. In my region, in the northeast, we have the highest levels of unemployment in the land. Under the EU Procurement Directive, we're being forced to give contracts to foreign companies for goods that we could make just as easily in the UK. And under my leadership, it will be UKIP policy to scrap all that. We'll introduce a presumption of buying British for all public sector organisations, so that if we can make it here in the UK, and if it's not unsuitable or prohibitively expensive, we'll buy it from the UK and create the jobs here in the UK. Under my leadership, we're not going to talk down this country. We're going to talk it up. This isn't Reagan's shining city on a hill. This is UKIP's shining nation of tomorrow. The second fight, though, that we face, and Paul has alluded to it already, is the fight for party unity. I think we all know what this party is going through at present. And I've been a member of this party for 15 years. And it hurts me to see that. It's nothing new. I spent 6 years as General Secretary of this party. And through much of that time, we were going through a tougher time than we are now. But we came through it. We came out the other end. And what we need right now, more than anything else, is an experienced, calm, safe pair of hands to lead this party. We don't need another charismatic character who will constantly be compared to Nigel. What we need now to follow a charismatic leader is someone who will work hard, someone who will simply get the job done without any fuss and bring us all back together.
Yeah.
There really is probably only one man in this party who can lay claim to having greater experience than me at keeping things running smoothly. And I'm tremendously proud to receive Paul's endorsement today. Together, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to fix what's wrong with this party. And I don't mean just me and Paul. I mean every single one of us in this room. And I mean that we're going to get this party together and we're going to get everyone working together on the same side and remembering who the real enemy is. Yeah. We're going to professionalise. We're going to develop our target seat strategy. We're going to focus on council elections because we know that council success leads to Westminster success. And it's areas like right here in Bolton where we're going to prove it. We are going to make this party a credible and effective fighting force. But you know what? I don't want to see 22 UKIP MEPs out in Brussels. I want to see far more than 22 UKIP MPs in Westminster.
Yeah.
And because you know that UKIP MPs won't fall into the cosy Westminster bubble that forgets about people living in the real world. So, ladies and gentlemen, I would be honoured if you would give me your support in this leadership election. Ladies and gentlemen, let's prove to the world that UKIP is only just getting started. Thank you.